Hi everyone, welcome to codetunnel. My name is Mukesh, and this is the first video of our Python series where we are going to understand how Python program in general works and what are the basic building blocks of any Python program, which is very important for continuing further our journey in Python. First, let's open our editor. By the way, we have already installed VS Code, Python, or Anaconda, the developer setup. Check out that video. Link will be in the description, or you can find it up in the by clicking on that I button. But we have already installed. Let's start and let's start decoding how Python programs work and what it's made of. So first of all, we'll go to our VS Code. You need to search in the search bar VS Code or whatever. You need to open your VS Code first. Is the first thing that we need to do. And once you open, it might open up the previous folders that you have opened. Yes, repositories, but I want to start it fresh. So first of all, what we'll do, we're going to you can also do the same in Anaconda, where you need to create a new file, or you can continue write your programs in the existing file, whatever you prefer. So what you will do is open up a folder where we'll have all our Python files, where we'll have all our Python files. So we need to first open a folder. Once you open up a folder, it's opening in documents, wherever you wish. You can change the repository, but I like to the documents, and then I'll go and click on the new folder button. It creates a new folder for me, and I'm going to rename this folder to something like this Python series and enter, and then I will select that particular folder. Click on, and it will ask you, do you trust? Click on yes, I trust the author, and have installed your Python. Like you have created a folder in Python. Now what we need to do, you can see that here we have a plus file, which if however you'll see new file for it. You need to create a file in it. So let's call something called file. File extension या format use करना है आपको for any program that you want to write Python. If you do it, you will be able to see file get created, and you can basically start writing your Python programs in it. So Python programs in generally how it works. Let's see. So you write something, any program. It's not just about Python, it's about any program. Whenever you write a program in Python or JavaScript or plus plus, it generally runs from top to bottom. Top to bottom means let's write something. We have the print function in the earlier video also. So let's do something. One, a print. The next line, let's write print two. Okay, I print two. And the so what do you expect? One more thing you need to save. You can see here, file has turned. You can see the white dot over here, which basically means that this file is not saved. You need to save this file by clicking on Control S, Control plus S, which will save the file. Now you can see a cross button over here instead of the white dot. Basically means the file is saved. Now you can run this file. Also, you need to understand that you can run any Python program or any program if you have a compiler installed by clicking on this run button over on the right side of your screen. You can run it. Yes, we have written 3 lines of code, print 1, print 2, and print 3 in general. So what will happen if I click on Python? It will run all those lines sequentially. It will go here will print the first line. It will go in here, print this third line, whatever you have here. Once. Basically, all programs in general will run from top to bottom and try to complete the entire file, modules, whatever you call it. So, program in general runs from top to bottom. And let's figure out, we'll also come back to it later in the course, how in depth Python actually works. But the beginner, we need to understand that how whatever you write is going to function. Let's see another example. Uh, for that, we need to understand one more thing, which is called the types or whatever our programs are made of. Our program has a lot of components. In general, our program will be made up of variables and functions and objects. Variable functions and objects. So let me comment it. You can, by the way, you can comment anything by creating hash. That will not be considered if you something after hash. Particular line will not be considered as a code. It is skipped. It will not be run by Python. It will understand like it's a comment kind of thing. You can keep those or whatever, you can document what your code is doing by using comments so that other people can understand what your code is trying to do. So I'm just using this comment functionality, write something like so. So our program is generally made of functions, functions, and objects. Generally, everything in Python is object, but for beginners understanding purposes, we will get in depth at a course, but try to understand this way. Generally, you'll see variables, functions, and objects. So what are those things? Let's decode one by one. Also, we need to understand that what the syntax structure of Python. What is the syntax structure of Python? We'll also understand what is the syntax structure. So let's begin. What we'll do is see what a variable is. Variable in mathematics is very different from variables in computer science. Not very, but actually it's different. Whereas variables in mathematics in generally means something whose value you don't know and you want to compute the value of that particular thing. For example, in our what you call high school or somewhere, we used to have mathematics classes where our teacher will ask us for something like will give us algebra questions. Well, they will say like, I have a number x, and if I add 3 to it, multiply the result, I'm getting I'm getting 30. So calculate the value of x. What will be the value of x? We used to call this x as variable. Call this x as variable. Don't know the value of it yet, but we used to call it the value. We used to call this as a variable. Okay, and we used to solve it, and you will figure out the value of x is 12 plus third 12 plus 3 is 15, and 15 to 2 will be our 30. So this is the value of the variable that we computed. We didn't know the value of variables, but in computer science, computers, it is very different. What happens in computer is that we use variables to the value of certain things. Like if something like x equal to 20 means that x will get a position in our computer somewhere in the memory, and it will store 20 there. Store the value 20 in that memory. We'll also get to learn this, how it happens. But now, x store value 20. Wherever you print x, what is expected result? What is the exact expected result? You will get 20 on the screen because was the value of x is. This is how it will work. And you can also see here the concept like the function runs from top to bottom. In Python, every line will run, every module will run from top to bottom. So you see, first x gets the value of 20, and then in the seventh line, what's happening is it's printing the, so actually it is running from top to, it's running the value of x. It is printing the value of x on the screen. Here you can see it's 20. This is how a Python program will run. We got to know the first thing in Python, which is variables. These variables are used for storing values. Okay, you can store y equal to 40 and then print, print plus. Actually, this program, this function. Now you might be figuring out, okay, this is variable x equal to y equal to 40. What is print and what you call it? Oh, this is a function. Print is a function whose job is to log whatever value you have on the console. So whatever you find, so first thing we found out variables. Second thing is function. Our program will consist of a lot of functions like this print functions. We can create our own functions with the help of, we can write our own functions. This is a pre-built function provided by Python. Okay? The pre-built function provided. So you see, let's run the program and see what's the output. Yeah, exactly what you expected. What it does is goes here top to bottom. It ignores this line because it's a comment. It ignores this second line because it's a comment. It ignores this line because it's a comment. Comes to this fifth line and gets the value x. X is a variable which gets a value of 20. Y is a variable which gets a value of 40. And then line 8, it, first it adds up those variables and then print it. You get on the screen 60 as an output. Click on this play button, run your Python program, whatever. So variables can store not only numbers, like in mathematics we used to store numbers, but here variables can store a lot of things like booleans, strings, objects. Give you another example. Imagine you have a variable named Mukesh, okay, or tunnel, tunnel. This is a variable which stores strings. Strings means kind of sentence in general. Before let's run this program, what we'll do, we'll print this also on the screen. Okay, print name. We have this 5 lines of code. There's a lot of comments top, but this is a variable. This is a variable. This is a variable. This is a function call. We are calling print function. Calling print function. We are calling print function for 2 times. And now before we run, we have to save your function file by clicking Control S because you can see the dot over here. Click on Control S and you can start running it by clicking on the play button. Let's run it. You can see first it prints 60 and then it prints tunnel, which is the value of this variable name. Prints the value of this variable. You can see how our program is running. It's running from top to bottom and two more things. Function, a file in Python program generally we have variables and functions just like this. We'll later in the video we'll see how to create our functions. But this is how it works. Also about the syntax. Most programming languages will have syntax like curly braces, in general curly braces and semicolons. In Python, we don't have those. Python, we don't have semicolons to end. Our thing in general is maintained by tab in based indexing. We use something called tag tab based indexing, which will like help us indenting will help you write your code properly with the help of indents or tabs or spaces. So don't need to add semicolons just like in other programming language where only spaces and line changes will work for you. For example, let me write a program for you. We have for I in range, this is something we'll see what it is, but in general, to understand, I have something called for I in range test. Basically means run this below mentioned lines for 10 times. Okay, that's me. Let me go to the next line. How will Python understand run this particular line? So what it will do, you have to give a space and a space tab space tab will tell you yes, this particular you have to run this print this many lines. So space is telling have to run this for loop for this particular print only, not for any other piece of code. Just to will be an error in Python because you are not using space. If you use space, it will understand that this for loop has to be run on print. Space that we have before print telling that this print falls under the for loop context, whatever you call it. Then you can run that particular program. So what it does, it will run print for 10 times x. And what is the value of x? It is 20. So it will print 20 for getting some else. uh, the terminal, the file, and try to run it. You can see it's in 10 times value of x, which is 3. Here space helping us helping us make computer understand that this particular print falls under this for loop. You need to run this for loop for this particular. Thirdly, if you have if else statements, you do that. If Python, you don't need that. If x equal to 0 and this particular syntax is also saying if have this condition true, then run this particular thing. To keep it here be wrong because you need to provide space. The computer can understand where this print falls. We have a statement. What will be expected output? X equal to 20. Let's check. X is 20. Yes. If it is yes, then it will print. Otherwise, it will not print that particular value. Let's see. We're getting 40 here, which basically means that have to print it. Condition becomes true and it gets printed on the screen. Okay. You can see everything is running from top to bottom. These are the building blocks. You can see here you have this function, you have this if, you have this for, you have this another function, range function. Basically tells computer, so now you can understand like it tells computer to run it for times. Have a variable which stores string, you have a variable which stores numbers, and this is how it works in Python. And you don't need to have curly braces. For example, this program in C or any other programming language will look something like I less than n plus plus. And for things to work properly, we'll have something like or print. What will happen? Have to provide a curly bracket so the computer can understand that have, the computer needs to run this print when it will. But instead of having curly braces, we have tab-based indentation. Provide the tab, understand that this particular print falls under this for loop. So run this print for that many times. Okay? That's the basic difference between Python and any other different language. So I hope you understand something from this. And also we have forgot to like object we haven't covered in this video because that's it. We'll go to it. We'll come to this topic by step. But for now, the coming 5 6 videos, you'll only need to know the concept of variables and functions. Once we go to classes and objects, we'll cover that topic. Okay. So this is all that you're going to see in your program most of the time. Variables and functions, and we'll learn a lot of functions, a lot of variables, predefined variables, defined functions. We make our custom variables, custom functions, and it's going to be so much of fun. So subscribe to the channel and like the video if you understand something, and also let me know your suggestions and feedback, and share the video if it's helpful to anyone else. Okay, and in the next video where we'll be learning how what are the different data types, and we will also be exploring different concepts and writing our own functions in the next videos. So bye bye.